to have Wallace continue to come in here week after week after week. But yeah, there's just some aspects of that that we'll never cover every base, and nor would one individual be expected to cover all of those. And
And it's,
for lack of a better term, it's cost of doing business. I don't know how else to.
Yes, and we use them for development review. There's not a lot of that going on right now. That's a pass-through, and I like that approach in many ways. They've been pretty responsive because you get the depth of that larger entity behind you and the specialties that they have, and then the fee structure passes that cost through. So it's really a zero cost approach as opposed to having an in-house where you're designing a fee structure trying to cover the cost of that position. I think our proposal, when we get to that, will probably keep the farming out of the development.
And that comes from an engineer that would have a great time hiring another engineer.
They'd have to get past me too.
All right, the next area is actually the council, the mayor, admin, and finance department. For the city council budget portion, the costs represent 4 positions being up for election next year. So we're gonna have to have the cost of the primary and then the general election as well. And then we have done a reduction in meeting, travel, and training line items that you'll see in your book later. And basically, the amount that we've budgeted in there is roughly for 4 overnight meetings or conferences. So it's not itemized for every single one of you to go to a conference or a training, but that's kind of the ballpark that we use, is roughly 4.
On election expenses, I should remember this and I don't. In the past, we've kept the community room open on election day as a drop box, in essence. Do we pay for that? Does the auditor pay for that?
This year, they did pay for the use of the community room.
I'm
This
sorry?
year, this year, the county did pay for the use of the community room.
This year, the county paid us for that?
Yeah. Yeah,
Thank
last
you.
year they did not, but this year they did.
So I was just curious that if, with the huge percentage of ballots going in mail-in, it just wasn't clear to me that if we were paying for it, we should, but,
Oh, you're saying if they're using the room, they're paying us. If we get any really cost savings from that?
well, no, if they're paying for the use of the room, fine.
Yeah.
If we have to pay for it, then,
It makes me wonder, though, if there was some sort of requirement for a local actual ballot station. Do you know?
I don't know, there may be, we'd have to contact the elections office to find that out. I would expect
but
that
if they're paying for it, the question's moot, that's fine.
Right,
Yeah.
We're probably paying for it
Yeah.
indirectly.
Indirectly in the election.
In the election charges. I don't know that for sure.
I would expect that.
And for the mayor and city administrator, basically the thing to highlight there is professional services has been budgeted for anticipated strategic and related planning. That's based on the guidance that we got from council at the strategic planning meeting in July. So we have budgeted a small amount of funds in there for that planning to start it. And then the finance department, we have a decrease in professional services. We are going to prepare our own financial statements this year. We're not going to contract that out. The prior audit found some issues with our review process, so we're gonna keep the review process in-house. So I think that'll definitely be a positive improvement for that process. But you will see money dedicated for training for finance department, and that is also in relation to the audit findings that we've received in the past few years. It's basically saying that our staff is not adequately trained. So we have put money in there to ensure that we are getting up to speed in those complex financial statement words and audits, especially with the federal funding that we have coming in, the various different programs, everything is different. So we want to make sure that we are providing the best service out of finance, so that is an investment that we are asking for. And that takes us to
Okay, so just to highlight a couple of areas, maintaining current programs within human resources, a very minimal amount for management training, and if we did something in that area, it'd probably be for risk management, maybe advised by WCIA, would be web-based because it's such a small amount in there for next year. Also, the wellness program, as you know, working towards that 2% reduction in premiums, and so the amount in there for the wellness program is, quite a bit below what we would realize in terms of that 2% reduction in the premiums.
Jeanette, if we have classes and we call WCIA or AWC and they come down here, do we have to pay for those classes to come here?
I'll use WCIA as an example. For the most part, no, we haven't paid for them. And a good example was the recommendation out of our audit this year that we should do overlapping leave law training for managers. And in fact, that occurs this week. I made a petition to have the training for Southwest Washington, and we're going to have it in Camas on Thursday this week. So that's mandatory for all managers that weren't excused for vacation plans. That's not costing us anything. That's coming directly through them. So where we're able to do that, certainly we put that training in place.
I'm just thinking that if we can bring those people here and it doesn't cost
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
and we invite the neighboring cities, maybe
Yeah,
that's the way to
sometimes it
look at it.
works, yeah.
All right, and we have broken Public Works into the general fund highlights and then the utility fund highlights. Mr. Dunn.
So we'll start with some of the general fund highlights. Minimal pavement management program, $150,000. So street staff has done a really good job with pavement management. We have the slurry seals, the chip seals, the micro seals. We have interlocal agreements with the county and city of Vancouver to get a grinder out here to do our grind inlays. So we've really tried to save money and to keep the streets in a condition where, if they get to a certain point of disrepair, that will affect economic development as well. So we got to maintain that. Reduction of seasonal employees. We talked about level of service a little earlier, and this is really where it's going to hit us because we do really rely on seasonals. They are seasonal employees. We rely on them for the summer help. Some of the decreased levels of service that you might see, especially in the parks, are maybe mowing, maybe from once a week, maybe we mow twice a month instead. Trash pickup is going to be delayed, after weekends, so it'll take staff a little while longer to get all the trash picked up. Ball field maintenance will be reduced. Restroom maintenance will be delayed. We may have to authorize more overtime in certain situations as well. So if you remember, we have 2 FTEs in parks, and we have 3 FTEs in streets. So really very minimal staff to get what we need done. In the street department, we may not be able to apply crack seal. That's our most cost-effective pavement maintenance treatment. It takes 5 people to have a crack seal operation move forward. So that's going to be a level of service cut, which will basically increase the deterioration of our road structures. So some of the seasonals have flagger certifications, and we won't be able to use them to flag and for traffic control. Some of the shoulder work, pothole repairs, and we may have to authorize a little more overtime in